Well, here we're back again, and there is Daniel Janosik, Dr. Daniel Janosik, and myself. And we're coming to the 10th course for this whole program. This is the final course. It is known as IS 510 with bracket 2024 because it's being taught in 2024. And this is looking at the different methodologies in ministry to Muslims. So these are the methods, the different types of programs that are used by missionary organizations all over the world in the last 200 years, engaging with Muslims publicly. So now there will be many different methodologies. These 9 are the major ones. There may others that are subsidiary to that, and we'll be also bringing in some auxiliary types of methods. But these are the standard ones that are used. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at how they're used, whether or not they are good methods, and then we're going to look and show at some of the problems with some of these methods. And Dr. Janosik and I will be giving lectures every Monday night, like we always do, at 8 o'clock in the evening Eastern Time. That's Eastern Time here in the United States. So wherever you are in the world, we'll be doing this by Zoom. So we come straight to you on your computer, wherever you are, in whatever locale. However, it'll be 8 o'clock starting time for each one of our lectures, and the lectures usually go for about 2 hours, and then we open it up for Q&A. And we have over 230 students who have been taking these courses throughout the last, really, this is the second complete time that we have completed this entire program. No, now what we're going to do, and I'm going to ask Dr. Daniel Janosik to help me here. We're going to go through each one of the lectures. So now this course does begin on April the 1st. That is just a few Mondays from now at 8 o'clock in the evening. And it continues for 8 weeks, for 8 Monday nights, each night for 2 hours, up till May the 20th, Monday, May the 20th. And we're going to be doing this is for Christians only. Obviously, I've said this many times. I do get some flack, don't we, Daniel, from people who would like to take these courses who are not. But this is in a seminary location. Veritas International University is a seminary where we introduce all this material on Islam in Apologetics and Polemics of Islam, MAPI, Master of Arts in Apologetics and Polemics, for seminary students and audit students and those who want it for personal enrichment, but you do need to be a Christian. So before we get through all the bricks and mortar of how you take this course and how you need to register, you can see the address right there at the bottom. You do need to register quickly. You only have about 2 weeks to do so. What I'd like Daniel and me to do is to go through each one of the lectures. So starting with the first week, I'll start off, Daniel, and then you do every other one. Let's do it that way. So starting with the first week, that will be an introductory lecture. Now, what we do, because of the many students that sign up and register, we want every one of you students who do sign up to introduce yourself, to say who you are and where you're from and why in the world you're taking this course. So that takes a bit of time to get through all the students, because we could have 20, 30, 40, sometimes as many as 60 students in these courses. That will be the beginning. And then we're going to introduce it. And I'll be going through do a quick overview of the major of each one of the major points, that which works, what doesn't work. And then Daniel's going to come up behind and he's going to unpack some of the categories and how they are used by different mission organizations or groups around the world. That's for the first lecture on the first week on April the 1st. Daniel, what's going to happen the next week on April the 8th? What's going to happen that week?
Okay, we're going to do 2 different lectures in a sense. We're going to look at the program model and how that works with dealing with programs, hospitals, schools, and things like that. And we're going to look at the advantages, and we're going to also look at the disadvantages. And we'll also do that with the proclamation method of the open air evangelism and the one-on-one going down the street. And we'll look again at advantages and disadvantages of those. So we're going to take on program model and the proclamation model the second week.
We'll be doing that actually with you, and the person who will be looking at the detriments will be Dr. Stephen Kirstolovich, who is taking over me for that week because I'll be traveling in Latin America. I will not be free. I won't be anywhere near the internet on that one Monday. So Dr. Stephen Kirstolovich, who he has been a student all the way through these entire 2 years, 4 years now. This is our fourth year of working with us and engaging with us. He also has a doctorate in Islamics. He'll be co-teaching with you that week. Then the third last Monday, which will be the 15th of April, we're going to be looking at tent making. What do we mean by tent making? Well, this is what Paul did. Whenever Paul went into another country or another city, he was a maker of tents. And so to take care of himself, he would make tents so that he would not be a burden on any of the Christians living in that particular city. Now, that is being used today in many countries because that's the only way missionaries can get into those countries, especially if they are closed countries. As all of you know, Islam does not allow missionaries to come in and proselytize, not in Muslim countries. Only Christians allow that. Muslims can come into any Christian country, but not Islam. Islam will not allow that. So what you have to do when you're not permitted to go and to talk about your faith or even to proselytize about your faith, you have to use tent making. So we're going to unpack what that is, both the pros and the cons. So week number 4, which will be on the 22nd of April, what are we going to do there, Daniel? In fact, there will be 2 things that we're going to be impacting on that one.
Right. We're going to look at the irenical approach as well as the contextual approach. And the irenical approach is friendship evangelism. So you don't have to go overseas for that. You work within your own context. And it's a popular method because it's easier to do. You can be yourself and try to make friends and invite people over and talk to them in a friendly manner. And then the contextual method is one where it's a little bit different because you try to fit into their culture and be more like they are, dress like they do, eat their foods, and try to work within their context. So it's a little bit different, but you can still use the friendship or the irenical method within the contextual, but it's a lot different. But we'll look at those on that 4th week.
The 5th week then is on the 29th of April. So we're having 5 weeks in April. It's a big month. And that will be looking at the more contentious methodology known by some as the insider movement. We're going to unpack that. This is one that both Daniel and I have a problem with, but we need to introduce it. We need to show you why it's used, who's using it, where they're using it, and some of the problems with it as some of the advantages. We're going to do both, and we're going to try to be as fair as possible. This is a movement that probably many of you have never heard about, and there's a good reason why you've not heard about it. But that is a huge, it is very popular in many American mission circles, and so we do need to cover it, and that will be the 5th week. Then we move into May for the 6th week, and that will be on the 6th of May. What will be that one that we're talking about?
Okay. That's a good one because we're going to deal with the gospel in the Quran, or what is often called the camel method, kind of having the camel look inside the tent and see what's there in the Quran and make connections based on the Quran. What does it say about Jesus? Was he the Messiah? Was he a miracle worker? And then using that to make connections with the Bible. And along with that, we'll also look at some problematic issues, especially with what we call the MITs, or the Muslim idiomatic translations that are coming out with a number of organizations because they try to make the Bible more compatible with the Quran, and there are some really problematic things that come of that. So that'll be lecture 6.
Then we go to lecture 7, and this will be on the 13th of May. And this is called the Interfaith Dialogue. This is dialogues. This is a very popular here in the West. When I was in England for 25 years, this was one that was used. I was involved in about maybe 100 of these. Very, very popular to get the ball going. In some ways, these are like a pre-evangelistic methodology. We're going to show you the pros and the cons of interfaith dialogue. So that will be on the 13th. And then the last one will be the 8th, and this will be on May 20th. What is the one that's on the last one, the final one on May the 20th?
Well, this is Jay's favorite methodology, the confrontational model, which he does so well. And it's not for everyone, but it is very proactive in reaching Muslims with the gospel. And it's dealing with the harder issues. It's going right to the core of what's problematic. And especially for us, we use the historical critique to deal with these areas in Islam that do not have evidence to support them. It is an exciting area, and you'll see from what Jay says that more and more people can use it, and you can use it at different times, but you have to be careful. And as I said, it's not for everyone. Jay, you may want to say something else about the confrontational method.
Well, actually, we're going to flip roles on this one. Up to this point, for the 7 previous lectures, you will always do the positive, what's good about them, and I always do, well, wait a minute, there are difficulties with them. So I've always done the negative. In this case, I'm going to do the positive, show what's good about them, and then you're going to come up with some cautions. And that's appropriate because you have always been that way for me, as in our relationship. You have been there as a cautionary note for some of the excesses that I get into as a polemicist. Polemics is another name for the confrontational method. Now, obviously, we've said that this is only for Christians, so please, if you're a humanist or an atheist, and if you're a Muslim, don't register. The others, those of you who are Christians who want to be part of this, there, right at the bottom, is the registration. You do need to, and I've got the email right there. But we do want you to register quickly because we want to get as many students as possible. We can have as many as we need. There's no limit since this is done by Zoom webinar. So we will send you all the information once you have registered. Now, what does that cost? There is a cost for each level. The Masters of Arts students, these are the ones that are taking it full time. They will have, this is a 3-credit course or a 3-unit course. Each unit costs $330. So that's roughly around $1,000 for the entire course if you're taking it as a master's degree. What about the audit students? What do the audit students do, Daniel?
The audit students have a connection with the website where we put up a lot of extra information. They will always be able to get the materials from there, plus the extra ones. They also can join in with the discussion groups that we have online within the course site, and ask a lot of questions back and forth during the week, so they have more access to us and to other students in the class. So it's a really good opportunity, besides getting the necessary documents and extra documents that we put up throughout the time.
So for the audit students, the cost for the entire course is $325 for the entire course, all 8 weeks. Then there's a third category, and this is a category for those of you who are possibly on the field. You don't really need a master's. You don't want to be part of the discussions during the week, and you just want to come, show up for the lecture, hear the lecture, be able to throw questions at us, and then the next day receive, as all students do, whether you are master's degree, whether you are audit, or whether you are personal enrichment, you will then the next day receive the recording of that lecture, because some of you will be fast asleep. Those of you who are in Europe or in Africa or in the Asia, you'll be fast asleep and not be able to be there live for those lectures if they start at 8 o'clock in the evening, United States Eastern Coast time. So you want to receive those lectures. You will every week. Plus, you'll get the PowerPoints. You can download those PowerPoints for your own use, and you'll also get all the PDFs because we give you an awful lot of PDFs of books and articles and other auxiliary material that supports what we're saying. So you'll get all of that if you're a personal enrichment student and an audit student and also a full-time master's student. Now, the cost for the personal enrichment is only $225 for the entire course. So let me repeat. For the master students, it is about a little over $1,000 for this 510, IS 510 on methodology. For the audit students, it's $325 for the whole course. And then for the personal enrichment, it's only $225. Listen, we only see you. We're going to start again April 1st. This is not an April Fool's joke. This is real. We are going to start April 1st at 8 o'clock in the evening. We'd like to see as many of you there as possible, but you do need to register. Right down there below is the registration email that you need to send and to talk to Elliot. Elliot will be the one that will take you on. He will be the one that'll help you out, and we'll put his email right here as well, so that you can register with him. Anything other thing we need to say, Daniel, before we say goodbye?
I would say that one thing is that this is a very important course in order to take the material. So for those of you who have taken the other courses or some of the other courses, this is the way that you get that material to the Muslims. You all have different methodologies, and we'll emphasize that a number of these, all of them except perhaps one, are very valid and very helpful. And so this is the time that you can learn more about ways to reach your Muslim friends. And it's a very, very helpful course. So it's very practical in that way. So Jay, that's what I think is most important. It's a very practical course for getting the gospel into the lives of our Muslim friends.
Absolutely. So it's a very practical, very applicable. How then do you do what we have learned or in the other 9 courses? Good. Okay. Well, we just have a few more weeks. Love to see as many of you as there as possible. Again, this starts on April the 1st and goes to May the 20th. It'd be terrific to see as many of you there as possible. Until Monday night, April the 1st at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This is Daniel and Jay. Over and out.